in California, so she's definitely not up yet.
All right. So we have all this set up already. And like I said, we have it displaying here. Looks pretty cool. Well, not really. It looks really boring, but whatever. So now, first we're going to take a look at our package.json. And what is the one dependency that we need to be able to have multiple pages?
The link, or oh, in
Link, yeah.
package.json, React router DOM.
Exactly.
Router down.
So we're going to split the screen over here because I've already got this running. Let's see. Oh my goodness, doggos, you need to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do npm.
For some reason, the record's still not working.
It's recording.
Oh, you're recording. Okay, cool. Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay,
I was.
so we're going to install React Router DOM. Now, did any of you look at the index page of yesterday's project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you notice what was different about that index page compared to past projects?
We wrapped the wrap. Not really. I mean, imported browser router as router from React Router DOM.
Correct. So this is what we have in a typical Create React app for your index page. However, to use React Router DOM, this won't work. You have to have everything wrapped in the router. So what we need to do to be able to do that is have something more like this.
Right.
So I'm actually just going to copy paste this because why not? Nothing else is changing. I'm going to get rid of this because I don't use that. And it should not break my app. Oop. And it did not. So the app is still working, so nothing's broken. We're good to go. Always a good first step, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna add another Axios call for our local location. So first, let's get that and long for because that's where I am. So I'm going to add for mine. Okay. Look, my Axios call here has the latitude and longitude, and that's where Lambda is located, San Francisco, which I think that's where it is. So I'm going to need a different one for mine. So first thing we have to do, what is the first thing that we should probably do?
I was gonna say create a new file.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where would I create this file? Directly in my source folder?
No.
Okay.
In components.
Components, exactly. Why do we put it in components?
Because that is where we hold all the file. There are components.
Exactly. It makes it nice, neat, and orderly.
Gotcha.
All right. So I'm going to call my file Fruit because that's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to make it super simple. So before I can even import this into my app.js, or can I import it right now? If I were to import this right now, what would it do?
Probably say the value wasn't read.
Yeah, because you have to do the Axios. You have to import Axios and then do the .get and everything in order to actually request this.
Right. So I can do the actual import line, but I can't actually try to display it yet because it'll break everything because there's nothing on this page.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we're of course going to have to do is import React and use state because we're doing another Axios call, and then use effects. Oops, I don't know why the 0 was there. From React. And then what else do we need to import?
React router DOM.
Nope, not on this page.
Axios.
Yep, import. Wow, I cannot spell today. Import Axios from Axios. Okay. And now we're going to do const Berwick. If I could spell my city. And this is how it's best to always start all your applications. Export default Berwick. So now if I were to import this file, it will not break my system. I have the bare bones basic setup, so it will not break my app.js. So we're going to go ahead and import it, at least get it going. So import Berwick from, and we're going to go down to the components. And when you have /, what does that mean?
George, you get to tell her this time.
I'm sorry, so repeat that.
So I had put / right here in my import. What does that mean?
To go up a directory.
No.
2 dots goes up a directory.
Exactly. / says look in the folder I'm in.
Okay.
And now I put my Berwick file in the components folder, so I want to do components next. And then another / and find my Berwick file.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the / is always look in my current folder. / is look in the folder above me or before me. So now we've imported our file. How would I make it so that I can view this file? It's a separate page. I want it to look different. How would I do that? What was the first thing I need to import?
React router DOM.
Exactly. And what would I call this right here? What am I going to put in here? This is where I put these guys. What do I put in here?
Route. Oh, wait a minute.
Route switch maybe, and
Route
link
and
for
switch.
sure.
And
Link.
because I'm going to have it as a clickable thing, I'm going to put link.
Gotcha. And that doesn't matter what order you put those in, right?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Router. Well, I don't know why. Oh, it helps.
I was gonna say, if you put rerow, it'll just hit enter.
I forgot to put my quotes. Okay. So what does switch do?
Switch tells you to do that one. Well, I don't know.
So
Hard to
switch
explain.
is very basically, it is literally exactly what it sounds like. What does a light switch do?
Turns it on and off.
Turns it on or off. It changes the status of your light. So switch in React is going to change my page. Basically, super simple. Switch is going to change the status of my page. Route is going to tell me where to go. it's gonna tell me where I want to go, what it's and what page to actually call. And then link, like I said, it's basically just your good old fashioned A tag. Okay.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna come in here to my thing here. We're gonna add a little nav here, and we're gonna call link to slash Berwick, no, lowercase Berwick, because that's where I want it to go.
Mhm.
And then we do this, and we're gonna say Berwick weather. So if I save this here, it should not break my system because it's just literally an A tag. Why didn't it update? What did I do wrong?
Did you save the other one? Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Let me see here. Oh, I broke it. Oh,
Link to Berwick, is the Berwick supposed to be capitalized because we called it Berwick above?
no, this is just what the path is.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So that's lowercase.
Oh, there it is. So now it works.
Oh, okay.
So, and you can see that's already underlined. If I click it, it's probably not going to go. It just does the slash up here. You see how it added the slash Berwick? It didn't change anything because I haven't told it what it's supposed to look like yet. So it's acting like a link, but it's not really going anywhere because it doesn't know where to go, which is where we come in. And every once in a while, the data from this weather site does this. I just have to comment it out and then bring it back in. And once it's done compiling, it should show the temperature again. Okay. Yeah, every once in a while, it does that. So underneath what I call the header information is where you always want to have your switch. Because that's the part that's going to change. So whatever's up here it typically stays. And then underneath and whatever's contained within your switch is what's going to change. So like you would have your navigation up here. I probably want to put another link to equals, and then we'll do a slash. Lambda weather home. So we can get back to our main Lambda weather. But it's already going to be there, so we really don't need to do that in this case, but why not? I'm going to comment it out to look sloppy. What's that?
Would we put a break between those so that they're not touching, or how would we do that?
CSS. You just like add some padding.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you look over here, in the nav right here, it just shows as an A tag.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So we're going to learn that this week, huh?
Yep. Yep, that's
Okay.
what you're going to learn this week. Yep. So now we're going to add our switch component. Switch. And then we want our route to, and we said Berwick, right?
Oh, we can put 2 as the route. Like we can put route 2. We don't have to just put route and then whatever it is.
Oh, it's right. That's right. It's path. My bad.
Oh, no, it's okay. I just was wondering.
No, that was me.
Your mistake helped me. Thank you.
And then we're going to pull in the profile. I got to change this around just a little bit. I forgot.
Sorry, Melissa, could you go full screen on your VS Code?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thanks.
And we're going to move something around real quick. And I'll show you why this is the best practice to do this. So in here, we're going to add another file. We're gonna call it home.js. Where's my, okay, you gotta come down here, go out of my way. Go away. Copy. Oops. So what I'm doing is I'm just moving this stuff over to the home page because I don't really want to display Lambda's weather all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Got both of those. And then I can just do this. Cut. And you go in here. Okay. So, do you know why I have these open and closed brackets with nothing in them?
They're like a form of a div, sort of. It's just like a container, right?
Yep, it's like a div, but it actually doesn't even show up on your HTML. On your rendered page, that is. And the reason why is because everything in your return statement has to be wrapped in some kind of container. So because I don't necessarily want to keep narrowing down my containers and having a whole bunch of divs, I can use these empty brackets. So it is wrapped in a container, but I don't have to actually call it a class name and narrow it down type of thing. All right, so we're going to save this.
Guys, I apologize. I did came a little bit early, but I would just have a question about the data that you're doing the Axios for and then returning some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just explain me what that means?
Sure. Okay, so this is a weather, we built a little weather application.
So line 21, what is this 17, what it means?
Talking about, this is my little icon that gives the temperature icon.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, and then this here, because my data was returned in, where is it? Right here.
Celsius and you wanted Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, exactly, because it says it's coming back in Celsius. I have to do this little formula in here to change that Celsius over to Fahrenheit. And this is literally just gives me that little temperature icon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so now I have to import over here. I forgot to import that. Import home from component home. Okay. Should be good.
Also, Melissa, can I ask about the switch? I'm sorry, George, for now. I'm just trying to taking the time.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Can you just ask me the switch? What is it? What is the purpose? Switch is what is the switch?
So the way I like to describe it is switch is literally just like a light switch. It changes the status of something. And in the case of the light switch, it changes the status of the light from off to on and on to off. In this case, it means it's going to change something on my page in some way. We don't know what yet until we define it in our root. Root says, hey, we're going to change whatever we decide to change. Here's the path of what you can find that information at. So I want you to go to /Berwick when I type this or click this, and otherwise I want you to display the home page.
Okay.
And right now, the way I have it, of course it decided to break again. Not break, but this API is funny. Every once in a while I have to comment out this, and I'll show you how to fix that in a minute. So now I have our cool weather app, I have Berwick weather and Lambda weather. Let me add some spacing in there because that's going to drive me absolutely bonkers.
Me too.
AppCS. Let's go in here. We're going to do padding 1 AM. I guess it would help if I did my colon. Let's see if that fixed it at least a little bit. Oh, much better. Okay. So now we have an actual navigation that looks halfway decent. So, and there's nothing displayed because I commented out. Oh, sorry. No. What is displayed here is you see the local weather for Lambda.
Mhm.
If I click this, you'll see my address bar change to Berwick. And all of a sudden that Lambda thing goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But this is still there. Because I can close this now. Because the only thing that changes is inside this switch. If I were to add a footer down here,
Mm-hmm. It would be a constant. It wouldn't change, right?
exactly, these things don't change.
Okay. So when our job, if we want to use switch, we need to import switch and to wrap the elements in that switch, whatever we want to use it, and that's it.
So anything, yes, whatever you want to change has to be wrapped inside the switch.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So now we have a footer. Let's add something to our Berwick page just so we have something displaying. Otherwise, it drives us crazy. Now, like I said, you can call it whatever you guys want. Berwick weather. Berwick just happens to be where I am. So now it shows this because I'm still on the /Berwick. If I click on Lambda weather home, it should take me back to nothing, no slashes, or just a / nothing. And then all of a sudden you see your local weather for Lambda show back up.
Gotcha.
So now we have 2 pages in our app. Just like a typical website, we have now 2 pages. Well, not typical, but you know what I mean. Like a regular website, how you would have this, and this. Now we have that. This is now a single page app. Because there's only one thing being displayed. So let's see. We're going to go ahead and we're going to copy this because we wanted to display the weather here. I just have to change the Latin long because that is not where I am. So 41 and -76. So 41 and -76. Or is it -41? Wait a minute. Hold on. I think I got that backwards. No, I think I got that right. Ah, wrong one. Let's see. I might have that backwards. I can never remember which way that is. I think that's right though. So we're going to copy that. We're going to come over here and we're going to pull that data. Does it say where we are? What's the temperature? Temperature is -3. Yeah, that's about right. -3 Celsius. No, that's about right. It's freaking cold here. All right. So we have our const URL just like we did before, which means we can literally copy paste this stuff because I'm pulling the same API, just a different location.
Sorry, can I have another quick question?
Absolutely.
So on the line 1, import to React, use state and use a fact.
Mhm.
If there is a page where we wouldn't use Axios, do we still need to have that or use state? Sorry. Do we need to have use state like you have on the line 1 only when on that page we are calling Axios, or on any page where we are passing data?
So what you import is what you're going to use. So if I'm not calling Axios on this page, I'm not going to import it. If I'm not
Okay, that was my question.
effect, not going to use it. Just
Okay.
like on this page, I did not import React Router DOM. So
Okay.
I'm not using it.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to go ahead and we'll just go ahead and copy paste this. Copy. Since we're pulling basically the exact same information. Whoa, why did it do that?
I always hate it when it does that.
All right, so we're gonna save that. We're gonna uncomment this one. Hopefully the API decides to play nice. Compiling. All right, so it is 44 degrees at Lambda. Ugh, I hate it when it does this. All right, make sure it displays. Compile, come on. All right, and come back in here, uncomment, save. And it's 28 degrees here. Cold as crap. And we're supposed to get a foot of snow tomorrow. Whoop, whoop.
Lucky you. Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
On your use state, actually in your data that you are receiving back, you're using index 0. Okay, time series 0, index 0 of 0 on line 14.
Yep.
Can you tell me please why you're using index here?
Yep. So this is the data that I returned.
Okay.
I'm not using anything here in geometry.
Okay.
But I am using properties. As you can see, I have properties called.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not using anything in meta, but I am using time series.
Okay.
And then you can see I have an index 0, 1, 2.
Okay.
I don't feel like displaying all of that, so I just wanted to pull the first index.
Okay.
And then I narrowed it down to the data. Now, I could have gone down to instant and detailed, but I wanted to have everything in data open to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So you see how that kept erroring out on us?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good thing to do. Where is my... this statement here.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody tell me what this means?
Give me just a moment.
If data is not true,
Oh, so yeah. So if we receive nothing from back, so if no data, if we are, this means if no data return alerts at this time.
Correct. So we're going to put that right here. So if data is not returned, I want you to display this p tag instead of this p tag essentially, because this is where I'm actually calling the data. Otherwise, as you could see before, my app keeps breaking.
So I have a question.
Showing data, and therefore it doesn't see the instant or the detail.
Mm-hmm. So what makes it to where, and I know this would be something I get caught up on later, so that's why I'm asking, because it's in my mind. But so the fact that we say, if no data, return this paragraph, what makes it that we don't have to write like else in between those two, or like, or do the, I forget,
Ternary logic.
What's that?
Ternary logic.
Yeah, like what makes us not have to do that? And then also, yeah, I guess answer that first. I don't know.
Because it's right after this Axios call, so it's already going to see, and the only time this won't even get called upon unless it sees an error down here where I'm actually calling the data. It doesn't care about this, because this has, like, I'm not talking to this function up here, am I?
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, to me, you kind of are because you're saying if that data doesn't show up, but I do yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's just a very simple statement. And I'm hoping it kind of broke on me, but no, of course not.
Just reload and reload. There's
So lambda isn't working now. So we'll add that statement to lambda.
My question would be still related to this. If we have if no data return this, should we then remove line 16? Should we then remove catch? Because if Axios does not get any data, it will console log error, right? Or 404.
It will console the error.
well, could we put the
Oh, it will console, but it will not display it. Okay, that's the difference.
but could we put the return there? Like instead of putting it outside of, we could put the error as that message and then not use the if statement?
You could, yeah. For some reason, this one's not working. Once in a while, I have to do this.
Oh, Lindsay, you mean like dot catch and then the whole paragraph part?
Yep.
All right, so it's console.
But with catch, we'll console log, so it's going to be seen in a console. So that's
Right.
one thing. But
But
it's
if you
not,
took out the console, you could just
Yeah.
put it as you could just put it as a paragraph, right? Or like you would be like dot catch error, and then it would be its own function of
you could probably put a return statement in here.
Mhm.
Or like put this return statement. I've never actually thought about that. It would
Mhm.
probably work just the same though.
Okay.
Oh wow, I hate it when it does that.
I think, Lindsay, that this way is better because it is doing the same thing on the back end and the front end. So you as a developer, you can go there and see what's happening
Sure,
versus
yeah.
also for a user, he'll get this message.
All right, so it's actually not working this time.
That's-
So we're gonna do this. Oh, wait, undo.
Is it because we have console.error? Would it be console.log or what does that .error mean?
Is that it just prints out the error instead?
Oh,
Yeah. So we're gonna do this instead and see if this helps it. It's for some reason it's still erroring out on me.
Lindsay, you also can do console.table,
Oh,
and then your object or whatever the data, it's coming in this nice sheet. It's very easy to read.
well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Well, let's see if that one fixes it. Make sure I don't error out. Okay, so according to this, it looks okay.
I told you yesterday. He couldn't come today. No, he told me he was gonna come this afternoon.
Click my
He
console,
can come when I get Charlie.
refresh my page.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, it doesn't want to work.
You don't even get it.
I don't know.
Let's do this really quick. And then I'm gonna do, this is something that I highly recommend everybody does. Lambda data. Lambda data.
Oh, yeah.
Because now when I go over to my console log over here, refresh. Oh, I'm on Berg. All right. Now I can see my console log. I have Lambda data right here.
Yeah, perfect.
I can find it instantly. And it is returning data. So let's do this. And unfortunately, and it's probably because I'm making too many calls as to why it's breaking.
Yeah.
But now it shows the temperature. Let's go over to Berwick. It's gonna break on me, which is fine. We're going to do. We're gonna see what it actually shows. Oh, okay. Berwick data. All right, so lambda. Why is it not even showing my console log? Oh, I hate these weather apps. It's only these weather apps I've ever had issues with doing this. Oh, I know why it's not showing my console log because I have that displayed. Okay. Refresh. Yeah, so unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of weather apps, they do this, they break at this for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't figured out the glitch or why. But that but at least you know we have we did the single page app and it's working now. Other than this stupid line that just likes to break every once in a while. Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you guys, or does that help any of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a question about yesterday's project.
Sure.
I'm in movie.js. It says set movie to response.data, which I did. And it says this effect should run every time the ID changes. How could we do this?
Oh yeah, I'm glad we're gonna talk about that because I actually am a little confused about that.
Okay, what was it again?
This effect should run every time. So it's use effect axios.get.then set movie.catch, and it says this effect should run every time the ID changes. How can we do this? By using parameters or?
Oh, okay, gotcha. And
So
that,
like this part.
no, it's not parameters. So that would be on the movie card, I believe.
On 23 and 24?
So on the movie card, you're actually calling the ID in your Axios call.
Oh.
And then you see down there, like you said, this effect should run every time the ID changes. Which is why we put ID in the brackets.
Right.
Because normally we have what there?
Just empty array.
Right, and why do we have an empty array usually?
So that loop runs only once.
Exactly. So if we change the ID, we want it to run again.
How do we change the ID?
Only if ID changes will it run again, is what that is
Right.
saying.
Right.
So like the data, so like if ID all of a sudden becomes 6 instead of 4, then it's going to run. But if ID stays 6 and then it stays 6 and it stays 6 every time you go forward and backwards onto the page or clicking links, then it'll just stay that way. It won't rerun it so that this API doesn't get called again because it doesn't need to give us new data. Everything's the same.
Correct. So if and that's exactly what it is. So if I were to refresh the page, it's going to return back the exact same data unless I change something. Then it has to go and fetch the data again.
Yeah. Can you explain like this whole part, like the use params thing?
Oh yeah, so that's where the whole use params comes in, because if you look on line 8, where it has ID, so if that's saying the parameters, if the ID changed, for the parameters have changed.
So this is saying this ID is technically props, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's saying these properties. See, I don't understand like I get use effect and use state, because use state we're saying like we're saying the initial state of set movie is, and I don't know how to say that actually, but I get it at least. But use params, I don't understand that.
So we don't put anything in the use params like movie.id?
Nope. Nope, because we're just calling, we're going to, so do you guys understand on line 1? Okay, so go back to your app.js. It'll be easier to explain it this way.
Okay.
Okay. So line 3, your import, or I guess it's 4 now. You're importing movie list from, and you're going into the folder movies and finding the file movie list, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what exactly does this line 1 mean? Import React, from React. We'll just say, forget about the use state and use effect for a second. What does that mean? Why is that written very similarly to line 4?
Because we installed the React, so we are saying that import React from React file. No?
Basically. So imports work without having the dot slashes. It automatically goes to that annoying little folder over there of node modules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you were to actually open up, and I don't recommend this, if you were to actually open up node modules, you would see hundreds upon hundreds, sometimes thousands of folders. This is why you don't want it to upload to GitHub. Inside that, there's probably a folder called React. Inside that folder, there's going to be a bunch of functions, things like that. One of them is going to have a use state function and a use effect function, and it's going to tell you exactly what those things do. So if you were to look in the React router DOM folder for use params, it would do the same thing. That's why you call it as a function, because it is a function inside the node modules folder that it's located in. And you can look at the node modules and you can take a look in there and see what some of that is. It'll probably confuse the crap out of you. It still confuses me. But sometimes it can help give you an idea of what's going on. And the reason why we use, why we call it this way, like the whole React router DOM, when we call switch, router, and link, is because we don't want to import every function from React router DOM, just these couple functions.
So we're not exporting. We're not exporting everything.
We're only exporting what we use.
Correct.
And specifically with app.js, we're exporting app.js and its data here out to movie list, save list, and movie.
Correct.
We're just importing, and this is where we're saying that we're gonna like technically send it elsewhere. But so could you, and I don't know, like if you were to talk in people language, in like normal human knowledge language, could you explain like we'll say this statement, like because obviously I had trouble explaining it, but so I get what use state is, or we're setting an initial state, and that's why there's an empty bracket, but I kind of don't know how to explain these other than what we said the other day, where I was like, okay, we were saying, what is, if something's going to change, we're going to change the set movie list, and I don't even know. I'm terrible at
Can I
Huh?
try, and Melissa, you tell me if I'm wrong?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but I would like also to go back. I would just like to go back to what we talked about, React and React DOM. And this is the way how I understand that. And please tell me if I'm wrong. So line 1, React, and line 9, React Router DOM.
Time to put on the
Those, I see that in real life.
to
That
put
is,
on your teeth. On top.
that is
You're not gonna get burned.
God,
okay. So React and React Router DOM, that is a garage. That is our single garage and double car garage where all our tool is, right? If we want to blow the leaves from our driveway, we don't take all our tools on a driveway. We take only tool that we need.
exactly.
So that is the way how I see this. So in this case, we're going to use this, and then the rest stay in the garage. We don't need to take everything out. Okay.
Exactly. But they're still available to us if we did need them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like adding link here if we need it.
Exactly. Something like you also can see that as like a callback function in some case. You can create the function and then you will call that function when you need it.
Yeah.
But you don't need it in every function.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And-
I
and
almost
then-
see this as like they created like basically us knowing that Facebook made this. Like Facebook made this program that made it easier for us to implement so that things could be easier to literally read components rather than the entire JS file in one thing.
Right. So like,
Yeah.
for example, with Facebook, when you're, especially mobiles act slightly differently. So we're not going to think mobile right now. We're going to think just strictly desktop type, browser. When we go to Facebook, no matter what page we're on, we always have a header. I'm sure there's a footer down there somewhere. Never really found it. Maybe there's not. I don't know. But there's always that header that almost never changes. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that's where. So that's how you know it's a React app.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can do straight up HTML where you have a header that's the same, but you have to put that header on every single HTML document that you have, where you have to have HTML or index.html, about.html, and those two pages, for example, would both have to have the exact same header. Yep. That can get annoying, and you could have a lot of HTML files that way.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you don't. You have one HTML file. That's it, and that's in the public folder.
Yeah.
And inside that public folder, it's saying, "Hey, dude, we're going to be using JavaScript, so don't actually click me because I'm not going to display a thing unless you have JavaScript running." And which in our case is how we build it. When we're doing npm start, we're actually running that JavaScript, allowing it to run and do its thing. And then our components folder is where we store, like Sasha said, our individual changeable items is the way I like to put it. So the app.js file typically doesn't change. Built. Okay. What's on there, what's displayed on the app.js doesn't change. In the switch, it does, and that's what's in your components folder. Because that's the part that we're going to say, okay, now use these components in this folder. In this case, they called it movies. In this components folder, here's the different items that we want to display on our app.js. And it keeps your code nice and, your folders, nice and neat and organized, and it allows you to easily find things. Like inside my components folder, I usually have a nav folder. So in case I want to import my navigation to my app.js, I can have all those navigation files in a nice, neat little folder so I can easily find them. Um,
Makes sense.
it for me, it helps just in file location. Something that I highly recommend doing, and I do have some examples on that Notion doc I shared. I have a bunch of Build Week organizations on there. Look through some of those organizations and try to, just in the code, try to follow the path of where everything is getting everything. Or like if it has a live link, pull up that live link. And okay, so here's obviously what I see right now is the app.js file being rendered. If I click this about page, I see something different. So then I look at the code and say, okay, well, how did that change? Is it called about? Is it called team? Is it called something else? And you can find that on what page?
Mm-hmm.
Where can you find what the about page file would be called?
In here? Or just in general?
In general, like if you're just looking at the code in general.
Like in components, right?
But in components, yeah. What I'm thinking about is on your app.js is where you import all those pages.
Yeah.
So you can look in your switch section and say, okay, so if I'm on the path of movie, it looks like it's importing a file called movie on line 57 there. So, okay, now I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to find where I declared movie and look at what that file's called. So now I know exactly where to find that file. So I'm going to go to the movie folder and I'm going to pull up the movie file. And I'm going to say, okay, so this is what's happening on this page. And, say it's importing something from another page. Because sometimes things happen that way. And that's just because it's a reusable component that we can use on multiple pages. So why not?
Yep.
So it's good practice to look at a working code and do that, just to follow the paths to help you understand what's going on.
Yeah, I think, but still, I don't understand how to state, for instance, like this. If I were to say it out loud to somebody, like if I were to go into an interview, I would be like, oh yeah, it does. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. So let me try to put it into plain English, if I can. Line 14 there.
Okay.
So const means I'm declaring something. Inside the brackets, I'm declaring something called movie list and set movie list.
Okay.
And what I'm declaring is it's a changeable action.
And movie list and set movie list are empty arrays, right?
That's what the use state is currently telling me. Is use state means I might be changing something, but I'm going to start it with an empty array.
Yeah, but movie list and set movie, this is not a variable, right? This is an array. They're empty arrays, or they're variables.
They're not variables because I don't want them easily immutable. I don't want them to be easily changed because I'm not changing the data. I'm just adding it to an array.
Okay.
I'm not changing the movie Bambi to the deer who lost his mom.
Okay.
It's still called Bambi. I'm just adding it to another list.
Okay.
And then, so that's basically what that statement is saying. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Okay.
Like, I guess where I'm confused is just, okay, so I'm declaring.
I'll be back.
Okay. Declaring movie list and set movie list.
So I'm declaring movie list and set movie list.
Mhm.
These items are going to be changeable, but they are going to start with an empty array. I'm going to use this item, or I'm going to use these things later. So just hold that in reserve. I'm going to use this later. And then down in use effect, I'm saying, okay, so I'm going to effect something that's being displayed on the page. I'm going to get something from this API or from this link. Then once I get that information, I'm going to edit my movie list, set movie list. I'm going to use that to add something to this array. Because that's the job of my set movie list. That's what I'm telling it that its job is.
Okay.
And then later on in the app, I actually call movie list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I totally understand all of this. I just like explain. So if, like I said, if I were to interview or explain to another classmate or whatever it may be, like just going down the line and trying to, because I feel like that's how we can start to really understand what's happening, so that as we move forward and new concepts are taught to us, we can be like, oh, well, that makes sense because I'm doing this here, and now I need to do this within that, rather than just being like, so for instance, for me last night, because obviously I didn't make everything start to finish here, I didn't know, without obviously the instructions saying this needed to be movie, that this whole area needed to be movie, and then that we could pull the ID. I didn't know what would need to go next, unless the instructions said so. And in a real world, so like thinking about a job, like, would they say, hey, you need to pull in this that John made and this that Sierra made and make that react here or something like that? Or is it like, hey, we have this idea, we want to pull all these things together, make it work? And you're like, how do I do that? So without our instruction, our readme saying, okay, I need to pull in movie, and how I'm going to do that is /movie, and then it's going to have an ID, and the ID is, in our mind, we know that this colon means that it's basically a key value pair. It's going to be the value of the key. And then there's going to be a path that's actually this page of whatever, I call them pages, but I know they're not. This component that's movie is going to be pulled into make this main app page work. Like, I can understand that. It's just explaining things that I know that I don't understand. Like the other day we were saying, technically, based off of what you just said, I understand that set movie list is what we're changing, not movie list. We just are
It's
with movie list, we're saying that's what it is. What's that?
We're actually changing movie list.
We're changing movie list. We're not changing set movie list.
Set movie list is just the action to change movie list.
Okay.
As we call it in our Axios, we're doing something with set movie list. We're adding it to our movie list.
Okay.
Can I try to explain this to myself, my understanding, and then let me know if that is not okay?
Go for it.
Okay. Lindsay, can I use your screen for this?
Yeah, definitely. I figured since mine was done or whatever.
Okay, here, I'll get you. So here on a line 14, we are writing this whole line where we are actually setting empty array 1 and empty array 2. Okay, at this point, this is a bucket 1 and this is a bucket 2. They have nothing. They're waiting for our information to be input, right? At this point, they're just empty buckets, right?
Mm-hmm.
using a fact and using all these things over here, right? We are so calling that information, getting that information, and everything that we want, it's this. So if you would console log a response here, you would get an object with all this stuff, right? But most of the time you don't need all those stuff. You're just looking for the data, right? So if you would like console log response, you would get a ton of things that you probably don't need, right? That's the reason why you're going with console log data. This response, you also can call what I'm gonna get back or what I need back. You can call it whatever is gonna be the most sense for you to follow the logic, right?
Mhm.
This response, it can be Lindsay's data, right? And then you will call Lindsay's data dot data, okay? So that dot data are the useful information for us. Like when we had the project on Friday, that would be where the pictures are, the names are, the species are, and all those stuff. That is what we need to maneuver, right?
Right.
Mhm.
That is set up in a bucket too, okay? Can you go down? I want to show you something. Go down to line 61. I'm gonna clear all this. You see on 63 now, I'm sorry, movie list. This is your, we'll go back up. I just want to show you something. Here on the line 63, movie list is our component, okay?
Yep.
That is where we are sending this movie list. Are we okay with that?
The data. Yep. Yeah. This part.
My biggest confusion was like, how, where, how movie list get any data? Let's go up to the line 4 or whatever. Okay, yeah. So here where we set movie list, Lindsay's data, which is this, they go here as well. And then you can use this to manipulate the data. Like you can use this to filter it, to map it, to do whatever you want. So this is going to be your original data, and this is going to be your data that you're going to use.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, so to me, what you just said was like that last sentence was how I would describe it. Like because that's what I'm having trouble with is that so declaring set movie list as the original data that was pulled due to dot then response. I'll just leave that there, just like that. That allows movie list to be manipulated as it holds the new data. It holds the set data to change. So you can change it, I should say. So you can change it. So basically, when we pull this, yeah. So use state, just the use state part that I'm like, I get, okay, so set movie list. I don't understand this part. Like, I get that this is a function that we're pulling from node modules that React has created and made it have its own ways of whatever doing things. I get that this is an empty array. So basically, to me, I'm thinking technically set movie list is not a bucket. It's use state that is the bucket. So we're saying, hey, I want to call the use state function and call it set movie list. And by set movie list, I'm pulling this responsive information, this response from this Axios call, and pulling out the dot data, which is like technically the first line of that data that's given in the array of objects from the API. And so then those are going into this array, this empty array there, and then allowing for movie list to be the other function to then manipulate it when we pass it along to said there.
Okay. Let me use an analogy. Maybe this will help.
Okay. Did you?
No. I'm just maybe this will help make it make sense.
Sorry, Melissa. Melissa, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah.
But I think that one thing important before you continue for her to understand, this empty array doesn't need to be array. So this is not mandatory. So if that is the part that is confusing you, this can be empty string as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So instead, we're gonna do const groceries, set groceries, and we're gonna use state to the house. The house is my empty array. I need groceries for the house because I can't eat without it.
Okay.
Can you write that, Lindsay? Can you write that? So
Yeah.
just that we can see what are we talking about.
Yep.
Okay, so grocery, comma, grocery list, and then equals use state. Since we know how to write it, at least, I'll just put house. I'll just do it like the simplified way.
Right.
Okay.
So I've got a car full of groceries. Okay. But I need to get these groceries into the house. So how do I go about doing that? Well, I have to go to the car. I have to get groceries, which is my Axios call. And now I've gotten the groceries and they're in bags. So I've done my Axios call. I've gotten the groceries. Now I need to bring them into the house. So my Axios call, the whole thing it's doing is it's me gathering the groceries into my hand. Now, later on, I have to actually do the action of bringing them into the house or displaying them in essence. So now I have them, I've set them. Now what do I do with them? Well, now I need to bring them in the house. So now I'm going to grocery because I'm actually putting them into my array so that I can actually eat. Because I can't eat from my car. I don't want to eat raw hamburger. That's just not good. I mean, some people do it, but that's not me. So I need to, I have them in bags, but they're not going to do me any good until they're actually in the house where I can display them or cook them. So the set groceries is me gathering them in my Axios call and then adding them to my grocery house or my house. And then once they're in my house, I can now cook them, which is my return statement of displaying them. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, I think in my mind, the only thing that I was thinking was to build off of that was that grocery then becomes putting them away or sorting through them, I should say.
It could be, but you're going too far into it.
Okay.
But it could be that maybe that's my return statement is putting them away.
Yeah. So display. Okay. So cooking them, that was what threw me off because I was like, well, because that's an action, right? So then to me, that's doing another.
That might have been the wrong thing. So
that's okay.
I have a house with no groceries. I'm going to go get my groceries. That's my set grocery. Now I have to add them to my house. That's that ending empty array because I don't need to keep going and getting the groceries. I just need to get them. I've only got a couple bags. I can carry it in one shot, whatever. Or maybe I'm Superwoman. Who knows? So I set the groceries. Now I need to add them to the house. So I get them to the house. And then like you said, now what do I do with them? Now I need to put them away or display them. because in the bags, they're not doing us any good. So yeah, in my return statement, I'm going to put them away. I'm going to do something with that pile of groceries I just brought into my empty array of used state house.
Okay. All right, cool.
I use
I think
it
that,
for everything.
yeah, no, it helps because for sure, like I said, it's hard to put it into real life when it's stuff that we don't need. Like Sasha and I were talking last night, we were like, you know, like we don't need to know about how to play golf if we're never going to play golf. Like, you know, and we don't need to know Celsius because we don't need to use Celsius in America, you know? So yeah, just things like that where it's like, you know, even on Eat a Bit, actually last night, Sasha, I went over there and did a few things after I did all the lesson stuff today. And I was like, what? I don't need to know this. I don't know. And it was some sort of conversion rate. And then it was just like, basically it was just like Celsius to Fahrenheit, like where it was like convert it, but then you need to know like how many are in it to then make it work, for instance. So I don't know, but okay, no, that helps.
And
Cool.
And that's also what we just did there, your whole line 18 section there. What that is called pseudocode.
Yeah, and I'm not very good at that just yet.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not always that good at it either. But it takes practice, and that's where my analogies come in, because I have to take what they want me to do and I have to put it into something that I can understand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That I can relate.
Yeah, and the garage was good too. Like with the garage, that was easy to, you know, these are the tools. React set up these tools that we're going to pull and use. Yeah, I mean, it's all relevant for sure. I sent that what I typed
And
out.
I do really like Sasha's idea or analogy of the garage.
Yeah.
React has a whole lot of tools that you can use, but on this app.js, we're just going to use the use state and use effect one. There's no reason that I need to pull out an Allen wrench or a spanner wrench to mow the lawn.
Yeah.
I just don't need it. I mean, it's pointless. That's an extra tool that would just be in the way.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
that's good.
I have
You know, I'm fixing a pipe. I really don't need the lawnmower to fix the pipe.
yeah.
To be
I have another analogy that maybe can be useful for a line 18.
Okay.
It is somehow from the girl's perspective, right? So use state is Macy's, right, store, or a jewelry store, or Nordstrom, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everything that you go out there to buy, the whole market, all the dresses for you, right?
Yeah.
So you go to Macy's and you buy these dresses that you bring here, okay? Now all these dresses, makeup, and jewelry is everything here, right? And then when you want to wear, you're gonna use that here, choose what you're gonna wear.
Yep.
It's actually
Yeah,
a
that's
good
good.
one, because you're gonna go to the store and set dress, and then you're gonna add that dress to your closet, and then in your return statement, you're actually going to wear the dress and display
There you go.
it.
Nice. Okay.
Maybe that one would have been a little bit easier than the whole groceries one.
No, I mean, they're both really good. Yeah, like they're both really, really good. Yeah. That's cool. Okay. No, I mean, and obviously it just helps in the long term. So
No, absolutely. And learning, and I will tell you this from experience, the more practice you get at pseudocode, now, the better off you will be in computer science.
oh yeah. I can
So
bet.
there is a general coding assessment that I have to pass technically before I move on to labs. But most specifically before I can get endorsed by Lambda. I failed mine.
Oh.
And it was because my pseudocode is not very good. I mean, and it's mostly because what they wanted me to do, I didn't get it. Just like sometimes sometimes you guys have problems with the README files. The README files I
Okay.
never had problems with. Those I could usually figure out. But for some reason, these coding examples, I could not figure out. I could not understand what they wanted me to do to be able to just pseudocode it and say, okay, this is what they want me to do. One of them I could. Like one of them, they gave me an array of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they said, okay, now I want you to pair it off and flip them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, paired off would be 1 and 2, would become 2 and 1. So it'd be 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5 would be the final result.
Mm-hmm.
Could not figure out how to pseudocode that. I still don't. I'll be honest, I still don't know. And I could choose JavaScript or Python, which was great. But I could not figure out how to pair those numbers off, a string of numbers, and then flip it. I can flip the numbers for you. That's not a problem.
So what is it? Say it again. It's
So you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's a string of numbers.
okay.
They called it some matrix thing. The final result, they wanted it to be 2, 1, 4, 3, 6, 5. So they paired off the 6 numbers. So the first 2 is a pair, the second 2 is a pair, the last 2 is a pair.
Oh, okay. So originally they were individual numbers in an array, and now they need them to be 2 numbers and mixed up.
And then flipped backwards. Yeah. So so the first pair was 1 and 2, but they wanted it to display as 2 and 1.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So and that's why I failed that assessment, because I could not figure out how to pseudocode. Had somebody told me back in Unit 2 or Unit 1 to learn how to pseudocode, I probably would be better off.
Yeah.
But it's not something they talk about until computer science. And it's not that they don't teach it, it's just that it's not as necessary until you hit computer science, which I understand, but at the same time, I think if I had learned it earlier, it might have been more beneficial. So that's why I try to tell everybody, figure out how to pseudocode, write those analogies, figure out how to do it, what it means, what it's doing, so that when you go to actually code it up, you can be like, okay, so this is the actual wordage or verbiage that I need to use. Like you said, you know that this means use state, and then just parentheses house. We know that that's an array.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to put that in your pseudocode because it's known.
Yeah. Well, and that's like my thought process is, so unfortunately my work history was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing very, very well at it, but there's nowhere to go beyond here unless I want to be a manager. And like that comfort level of being like, oh yeah, I'll be a manager. It's like, that's a fine line of like, okay, well, do I want to take care of other people? Do I want to train other people and like be their advocate and support them and all these other things? And so for pseudocode, to me, when I think of like our job market and like us actually interviewing and doing all these other things, I think of the same thing, like, oh my gosh, if I don't know how to pseudocode and I'm doing the job that, I may get when I leave here, will I be in the same situation where I'm like, I can't be a manager because I can't pseudocode because I can't help anyone, because all I know is how to do it and I can do it well. But if I can't teach someone or be, just have a lot of different ideas of managing, I should say. I mean, that's going to be the best way to describe it, is just that if you can pass it down and train it and all these other things, then you should be able to be successful at it. So
and it's a learned thing, and it does take time. Like I said, I'm still not very good at my pseudocode. So I wanted to show you this. So I recently got hired by a company called Surge.
yeah.
Hold on.
Guys, I'm gonna go do my prep work for today.
Okay.
This was good and very helpful. Thank you all.
Me
Yeah.
too.
See you later.
See you guys later.
All right, bye.
So I just got hired by this company here.
Mm-hmm.
To create, and this is one of their web is what it does that I'm working on. So when I start typing in here, it starts popping up with these things. Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
And this is just my landing page. I can change this background picture of my Google Chrome,
Yeah.
and I can send this huddle ID to anybody so that your landing page for Chrome becomes whatever background I put,
Huh. Okay.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
When I got there and I got to the code, this is what I got. I got pretty much fully working code. I have no idea what half of this means.
Okay.
So I had to take almost a week of going through, okay, let's go in here. The product I'm working on is wax, so I'm going to go look in the wax folder. It doesn't tell me much, now does it? So I had to go back to the index page and say, okay, we got this, I understand that, that's just a normal thing. Okay, so huddle display and huddle user, that's where these guys are being pulled in. Okay, I got that. So I go over here. You know, I actually had to walk through all of these things and follow the path.
Yeah.
Of a site, of a code I've never seen before. You know, I go into huddle display and I've got all this other stuff in here. All this is the cons. Like I haven't even gotten to the return statement yet. And there's my return statement. So it takes time to understand and be able to pseudocode. And that's why I say, look at those GitHub repositories that are in that Notion doc. Because when you look at it, you learn how to filter through and find things. And in doing so, you can learn what they do. Like this is a file because I can tell it's a file because of this right here.
Yeah.
But look, it has those curly brackets.
Yeah.
In this file, there must be a bunch of different exports. Which, where is it? Let me see. Mixed panel. That one's up this way. Mixed panel and actions. So here there's an export. And look, there's a bunch of different things that it's exporting.
Okay.
Or no, right here, there's your export. So it's track links, track forms, a track. Those are all different exports. And that's what your node modules would look like. It's gonna be files with a bunch of different exports. So I can pull just this one, and it's only gonna do what I tell it to from in here.
Yeah, almost like React, like the node modules, all the node modules that are there.
Exactly.
This is another version.
And then sometimes looking at things like this can help you understand them better. But the biggest thing is just, if you can, fork the repository, play with it, break it, and then try to fix it again. As long as you're on your own branch, it doesn't matter. And as long as it's a forked copy, it doesn't matter. You can always pull from the original one and put it back to the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
And you can, and the nice thing about GitHub is it's open source. So unless it's a private repository, you can look at pretty much any repository. Like you could go to my profile and look at my repositories, fork one of them, and play with it. Make it work. See how it works. And that'll help with your pseudocode. That's when I started working for search here, that's actually what's helping me. Is because I'm looking at that and I'm trying to figure out what it does by pseudocoding it in my head.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's helpful.
Especially if it's a repository that has a live link like the search one does. It's something I can easily see, and I feel like, okay, so when I click this is what happens. Let me go find that function and see what it's telling me so I can understand why it does what it does when I click it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, I guess I'll go.